Assalamu alaikum, hurmatli o'quvchilar va talabalar. Hello, dear students and pupils. My name is Marina Lebedeva. I'm an English teacher at International House, Toshkent Academic Lyceum. Today I'm going to continue our discussions about grammar, and our topic for today is nouns and articles. Actually, I may say that nouns and articles are two big different parts of speech. They are very significant in our everyday life, and it is impossible to discuss all the things today, but we are going to talk about countable and uncountable nouns, articles, and how can they influence our speech. So let's start. Nouns. Here is given definition of nouns. Noun is a part of speech that designates an object, person, or phenomenon and answers the questions who or what. I think that you know this definition. It helps us to define noun in our language. But what is this? It helps us to name all the things around us. Nouns may be differentiated into different categories. Here I choose the most important categories. They are things. So it is all the subjects around us, like plane, magazine, table. Living things: dog, man, pupil, student, teacher. Places: field, New York, Toshkent, our capital, or maybe Lyceum. So next, materials is clothes or fabric. Clothes and fabric are synonyms, by the way. Wood, also it may be rubber, metal, plastic. Well, processes, life, laughter, it's our actions that we may define. Next one is conditions: rest or sleep. Abstract concepts, we cannot see them, but we may feel, we may express. Well, and qualities: kindness and bravery and courage. Bravery and courage are synonyms, actually. So, what about articles? Article is also part of speech. We use it not to name some things, but we use it for connecting nouns in our speech. They make our speech more exact, understandable, clear. So here you may see fixed some definitions. The article is the service part of speech. As I said before, we use them in order to communicate other words in the sentence. Then, it serves to express the category of certainty or uncertainty of an object expressed by a noun. So, certainty, it means something exact. Uncertainty, it means something that is not exact as well. So, and the third one, there are two articles in English: definite, the or the. Pronunciation depends on the word which goes after this article, after definite article. If after this definite article we have word that starts from vowel, it will sound like the. But if you will have some word which starts from consonant, it will be the pronunciation. And indefinite, a or n. So, countable and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns, it's a really simple topic. You know this topic from your maybe school times, but I would like to make a revision, and after that you will go to more advanced information. So, countable noun can be singular or plural. It's clear, we may count it. An example is an accident, a lawyer, we may count. Well, or we can use numbers with countable nouns. It's also obvious because we may count. We should say how many things we have. Uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns has only one form. We cannot add some ending which will help us to understand that we have a lot of things. Rice. Can you imagine that we may count rice? No, of course it's impossible and no one will do such kind of things. Or milk. Milk, it is liquid. We may measure how many liters or drops or glasses of the milk we have, but we cannot count milk itself. And we can't use numbers with countable nouns. So, next one is also about countable and uncountable nouns. Look please, I differentiated these nouns into two columns. The first rule, you can use a and with singular countable nouns. Why we may use a and n with singular nouns? Because it means one. A and n, it means one. That's why it's of course logical to use a n with something that is only singular. Next one, you can't use a n with plural countable nouns. If you have something in amount of 2, 3 or more, of course it's impossible because an is one, as I said before. Next, you can't use singular countable nouns alone without a, the, my. So you have some example sentence. There has been an accident. When you talk about something in the first time, you should say a or an because you do not know anything about this situation. You talk about this situation the first time only. Then, you can use plural countable nouns alone. So, you needn't put some article or maybe pronoun before plural form because you talk about big amount of things. So let's go to uncountable nouns. You cannot use an with countable nouns, uncountable, I'm sorry, because we cannot count 1, 2, 3, anyway it will be the same form. And you can use uncountable nouns alone, without the, my, some. It is similar with countable and uncountable, as you can see. Well, let's continue. Again, two columns and another rule. Well, look at the first point in countable column and uncountable column. You may see that words some and any I fixed in both of them. It means that we may use these words when we would like to say about some particular amount of things. Well, these words are actual for both of them, for countable and for uncountable. It will be correct if you will use with the both of them. Then, please look at the second point in this column and in that column. Here I fixed many and few. It means that if you would like to say some information about big amount of countable nouns, you should say many. Like in your example, we didn't take many photographs. So we may count maybe 10, maybe 3, maybe 20 photos. Well, and few we use when we talk about small amount of countable nouns. I have a few things to do. Maybe a couple of things, 2, 3, 5, no more. Then, in that column, I fixed instead of many, much. So, with uncountable nouns, it is necessary to use much. And instead of few, it is necessary to use little. Well, you have some examples. We didn't do too much shopping. Can you imagine that you can count shopping? No, because shopping, it's our actions, it's our activity. We cannot count activity itself. Or, I have a little work to do. It is also some activity. So, let's continue. And now, I fixed some definition. Many nouns can be used as countable and uncountable nouns, usually with difference in meaning. Well, can you imagine that one noun may be countable and uncountable at the same moment? It can be. Let's look at such kind of situations, please. So, again, two columns. I differentiated in order to compare them. In the first one, noise, the word noise. Look at the first column. Did you hear a noise just now? Here we talk about sound. For example, if I will clap, it is possible to count that it was one clap, was one sound. But I can't work here, there is too much noise. We talk about situation. It's noisy in the room and I cannot concentrate on my work. Well, the next one is paper. In the countable column, I bought a paper to read. Actually, in English-speaking countries, people used to simplify their speech. That's why instead of newspaper, they used to say paper. It's like photo instead of photograph. It is a modern word. People used to say that it's modern words. They are shortened a little bit. Well, we talk about newspaper. We can count newspaper. For example, you will buy one newspaper, 2, 3, and so on. And there, look please, I need some paper to write on. I need some material. Can you count materials? No. You talk in general about some materials. So, there is a spare room, example number 3. A spare room, you may say, I have 2 spare rooms in my house. You may count them. How many rooms do you have? What about another example? You can sit here. There isn't room. We talk about space, which we cannot call the room, and maybe it's impossible to be there, to stay there for a long time, or it's inconvenient. Well, it was about nouns which are countable and uncountable in some situations at the same time. Well, now please look at the board and examples like coffee, tea and juice. We talk about liquid. Liquid is of course uncountable, but please look at the sentence. 2 coffees and an orange juice, please. For example, you will go to the restaurant or a cafe and you will make an order. Well, 2 cups of coffee. You may shorten and it will be like 2 coffees. Here you may add ending S when you talk about cups, not about liquid, but about cups of coffee. Well, and an orange juice. As I told you before, we cannot use an before uncountable nouns because we cannot count. Is it 1 or 2 or more maybe? Well, but here we may count glasses and we need only 1 glass of juice. That's why it's possible to add ending S and article N. Okay, so here is a list of uncountable nouns. You know some of them, but these nouns are fixed because students may be confused sometimes, especially in these nouns. Accommodation, what is it? Accommodation, it is some space where you may live. For example, you will go in another country for your study. You will travel to another country and so on. You need some place to stay. It's accommodation. We cannot say 2 accommodations or 3 or advice. Advice may be really big, really serious, but we cannot count advices. 1 advice, for example, today I've got from my teacher 2 advices. No, I've got advice and it includes, and we may name some facts. Well, baggage. Baggage is also possible to be measured, but we cannot count it. Behavior, the same. Bread, I think that you know, but if you will count loaves of bread, it's possible to say e before love. It's like with a cup of coffee and a glass of juice. Then chaos, it's also impossible, damage, furniture, information, luck, luggage, news. Pay attention that we have ending s. You always should use this word in this form. You cannot count some facts that you will express. Anyway, you will use the word use. Permission, progress, scenery, traffic, weather, work. So please fix these words. I strongly recommend you to fix some information that you may get from this lesson, because at the end of the lesson I will give you some task. Well, now I'll talk about countable nouns and their plural form. Of course, it's really simple, the first point, that we should add ending s only to the words. Look, page, pages. We added only s. Daughter, daughters. It's a simple example that we may easily understand. The next one, if the word ends with these 4 sounds, you should add not only s but es. Like bench, benches. Fox, foxes. If you will add only s, it will be a little bit difficult to pronounce these words. That's why it is necessary to add e in and s according to the grammar rules. Next one is nouns ending in the consonant o also form the plural using the ending es. So, hero, it will be like heroes, es again. Pay attention, ending or, needs, es, plural form. Potato, potatoes. Tomato, tomatoes. Next one is modern words like photographs and photos. Spanish origin, Italian origin. So can you compare that? This word hero and photo. Photo is a modern word. For example, studio is Spanish word, and you should differentiate these words. So if this word has another origin or modern form, it is necessary to add only s without e. Only s. Okay, so next one, nouns that end in z or des is added with ies. The same situation is with a y ending. Copy, copy. Sometimes students can make such kind of mistake to the word y. For example, like in this word, they will add only s or es. It's a mistake. Of course, you may know a big amount of advanced words, but if you will make such kind of mistake, it will be really rude mistake. That's why please be really attentive during your writing and speaking. In most nouns of Latin origin, z and in is dropped and changed to es. Look, bases, bases. So here you may see how should we change. Okay, the next one is nouns that end with f or fe. We have ending ves. Why? Also the same situation in order to simplify our speech during the pronunciation. Shelf, shelves. Leaf, leaves. It's better to pronounce when we change this sound to the similar but another. But not all the words follow this rule. As you can see, some words like chaff, chaffs, reef, reefs may stay without any changings. Or, by the way, I fixed some information in the word believe and safe. If you will see the word believe with v, it's a verb. The same situation with save. With v, it's a verb. Please don't confuse, don't mix these words because they are different. So now we'll go to a little bit another aspect of nouns. So there are many common nouns that have an irregular plural form, not standard form. It is formed in an unusual way. I made some table. Look, for the first of all, I fixed the most simple words that even school children may say. Man, man. Mouse, mice. Brother, brothers. By the way, if you will talk with someone about your siblings, you may add only ending s. But if you will talk about someone who is not your relative, but who has the same ideas, the same points, aims, you may say brethren. It's a little bit another meaning. Okay, so please look at these words, fix them, remember them. So, the same situation, but these words should stay the same. Sheep, fish, fruit, aircraft, serious. I like to mention one thing. Fish and fruit we may use with ending s when we talk about different species. For example, fruit. If you will talk about big amount of fruit, you should say anyway fruit. But if you will talk about tangerines, oranges, apples, and so on, so it's possible to change. Well, some uncountable nouns like money, news, advice, information are used with is and was, only with auxiliary verb which has singular form. So what about scissors, glasses, trousers, tweezers, pajamas? They are used with auxiliary verb in plural form. So non-standard words from another origin like ox, oxen, or indexes or indices. It's outdated form, and oxen, it's also outdated form, but it stayed in our life still. Next one, compound nouns. Mother-in-law, so we'll change to mothers-in-law. We should add ending s to the main word. The same situation with the next example, hotel keepers. Keepers is the main word, that's why we will save this ending to the word keepers. So the same situation with viruses. So the same situation with the campus, campuses, radius, radii. And so some endings that we may add to pronouns that also express singular form. So that's all for today. I hope that this information was really useful for you. Please fix this table somewhere and you may send the answers, possible answers, to my mail. I will be glad to check your works. Thank you for your attention. See you.